Hey, this is Phil from Grounded Pursuit. This video is for anybody who struggled with the difference between your thoughts and your feelings, right? This is about the mind and your emotions. This is about the story you tell yourself. So if any of those sound familiar, then stick around because you're not going to want to miss this one. I was at a training for emotionally focused therapy, and the trainer used the phrase, the mind's job is to make meaning of your experiences. And I don't want you to miss this because it's so important. Your mind's job consolidates everything. It takes the story and it makes it make sense, and because that's how we survive. Now, your emotions are like lights on the dash. There are things that come up that cause you to feel joy or hurt or scared or disgust or sadness, right? All those things, they're also information, but they're designed to move you to a call to action. They're a language of relationships. They're very physiological. That's why they call them feelings versus emotions, okay? You might not have ever thought of that before. But the mind's job is to file it all away, to make sense of it. And the reason I'm doing this video, and don't go away, is because sometimes the mind gets it wrong. Have you ever thought about that? Sometimes the mind isn't right. Or sometimes the story that the mind files away needs updating. It's outdated. So let me give you an example. When you're a kid and your dad yells at you, and the story you tell yourself is, it must be something I did. I was bad, all right? That makes sense. Why else would dad yell at me? And that's the job of the mind. It's kind of a scary situation. Nobody likes being yelled at. Your dad's bigger than you. I'm not saying that this is abuse or anything, although the mind still has to make sense of those situations too. But when you get yelled at, it's very easy for a kid to, you've heard this word, internalize. They go, it must be something I did. When someone's mad, it must be my fault, right? I know there's a lot of you watching this video that relate to that. It's because the mind at the time made the story up to make sense of things that you were bad. Why else would dad be angry and upset? Now, here's the thing. Looking back on it as an adult, you go, wait, you were 5 years old. You were 6 years old. You didn't know what you were doing. This is your dad. Your dad was unhinged, or your dad was dealing with work stress or whatever he was doing. He was an imperfect human, but he was the adult. It was his responsibility not to yell. You didn't do anything wrong. But those stories don't compute, because in the moment that's so tied into that emotion that when we're threatened or when we feel anger or conflict because of that particular moment in time, the story becomes, I'm bad, I did something wrong. And this is why, if you get anything out of this video, don't miss this. You gotta do, your mind and your emotions have to work together. They're complementary. Too many people go, facts don't care about your feelings, or feelings don't care about your facts. We have both. We're designed by God to have both, and they're both important. And so many Christians I see, and just humans in general, they struggle with so much heartache because they're they don't know how to distinguish between the two. They go, I feel this hurt or this anger, and then they're told, well, just pray about it. Just pray about it. But they're like, okay, I did, but I'm still feeling this way, because there's this skill set. And I promise, if you can understand the skill set, it is so empowering. It's such a freedom. And I'm going to give you a real world example just that happened to me this weekend. So stick with me. The ability to do a diagnostics, a systems check, the ability to understand, hey, I'm a human being. I'm made in God's image. The things and signals that are coming to mind are normal. They're okay. They're data. They're lights on the dashboard of the car. Have you ever thought about that? Imagine you're driving and you don't understand what the tire light means or the gas light is. Or the turn signals or the check engine. I mean, your ability to know the difference gives you confidence in your ability to drive the car. Also, your understanding of the car gives you confidence to know, actually, the gas is fine, the lights, the gauge is faulty, right? But we run around with our emotional systems and it's so disconnected from our minds and we don't understand. No wonder there's so many relationship problems and stress problems. And no wonder we just want to like fix it by numbing out or whatever addiction we choose. Okay. So side rant, but story. The other day I was feeling anxiety. And for those of you watching that have maybe an overactive emotion system where the message of anxiety or sadness or depression or anger is so loud, like it overwhelms you, that's a separate thing. Your work is to dial that down so you can make any sense of it at all. And that takes practice and awareness and a whole different thing. But for me in this particular scenario, it was a relatively normal amount of anxiety. And this is something you might not have been aware of. When you're feeling an emotion, and notice I say feeling, because when you have an emotion, there's a physiological component of it. So the first thing to do is, whoa, what just came up for me physically? Because they're always real. Like you don't make it up. Like you don't make tears up. You don't make up that pit of your stomach or your chest tightening or your breath not being able to come out. It's not something you're just making up. It's happening to you. And so the first step in this work is pay attention. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to go, what? What is happening? What is this feeling? Okay. So in this particular moment, I was feeling some anxiety, some stress. I had some questions about my licensure that were stressful for me. I had, what else happened? Some social situation that just kind of felt a little stressful. And then some work stuff came up. So kind of a cascade of things, which is totally normal. In this particular moment, I was starting to feel like, oh, anxious. And then I identified it. Where does this live? It was in my chest, kind of like a tightness. And this is why I'm breathing. It's very purposeful. And so once I felt that, this is the next question that'd be really helpful is what do I want to do about it? Like where do I turn? Do I want to turn outward and like call everyone I know or get a hug or whatever? Or do I want to turn inward? That's key. I think it can be really helpful for you is to go, what do I want to do about it? Because sometimes the doing something about it doesn't always help. As we'll see in a second here, I wanted to turn inward. So feeling work stress, feeling anxiety, feeling it in my chest, wanting to turn inward. And then I was like, what is happening? What is the story I'm telling myself about this when I feel this anxiety, when I feel this tension? And when I sat with it for a second, the story was, I have to deal with this on my own. I'm alone, basically. And it hit me. As an only child, I'm an only child, all right? Like, yes, we're spoiled. We're not spoiled. But I am self-reliant. And that's a good thing. This isn't about like trash everything. It's about recognizing you can rewrite the story. So as an only child, when I was faced with stressful situations, for whatever reason, I felt like I didn't have a lot of people I could reach out to. So I tend to turn inward. I think my parents were very, they weren't always super comfortable to go to. And so for me, it was like, I got to figure this out on my own. Because if I share, it might not go well, or I might not get the comfort that I'm needing or whatever. So the story that my mind made up, which helped me survive, was a good thing. Was I need to deal with this on my own. But when you're dealing, as a almost 40-year-old man with a lot of stressors like work and everything else, that is too much for me on my own. That's not healthy for me to carry all that on my own. Of course I'd be anxious. So I can validate that. And then I can go, wait a second. And I can breathe and I go, well, my wife's literally right next to me. She's not going to just like abandon me. She's my teammate. She's got my back. And then I was thinking about all my friends that I could call. They got my back too. And then as a Christian, I was like, wait a second. God promises not to leave us or forsake us. Like, he's got my back too. So is this story true anymore? This sense that I'm alone in dealing with all this. And I was like, it's not. So I got to rewrite the story about this anxiety. And by listening to the light, by acknowledging that there was some anxiousness there, I get to go, wait a second, oh, this is a growth point. This is an area of my life that I need to practice letting God in and practice reaching out to people that love me. Because my default is to kind of turn inward. And there's such a kind of a cascade of those. By reaching out to other people, then they're feeling closer to me and more like that I'm trusting them because I am. And by acknowledging, no, God is there, I'm opening up to faith. And there's so many things that if I just squash the anxiety because it's unpleasant, I would have missed. So many of us go through the day, like I said, driving the car, and we cover the lights on the dashboard. We don't want to think about it. And then we wonder why the wheels fall off. We miss opportunities to maintain and upgrade and have a functional, healthy car, right? I hear people use the term positive and negative emotions. I don't like that. Emotions are just emotions. Too much of them can create a very unpleasant experience, and the behavior that we choose to engage in can create negative consequences. But at its core, we're designed to have a mind that makes sense of things and emotions that help us feel and give us information and are moving us towards relationships. I know this is a lot, but I'm really passionate about it. Maybe you watched this a couple times, but there's so much, it's such a superpower to be able to, and I feel so thankful to have that opportunity to recognize anxiety. It's unpleasant. I don't want to feel it all the time, but if I run from it, I miss out on rewriting the story. And if I live in it and I don't challenge it, then I just live in the old story that my mind made up. And think about any other emotion. I was talking to somebody about anger, and it was like, I'm so angry. They don't love me. They don't care about me. Um, they don't appreciate me and all these things. And they were talking about a spouse, and you got to think like that anger is a very real experience, but that story in this context, is that story true? They don't care about me. They don't love me. Well, I don't think so. But it makes you wonder, like, what time in their life did they feel that? Was that the only meaning that the mind could come up with as to why they were treated that way? And I could totally see a younger version of this person being mistreated and going, well, they must not love me. They must not care about me. So why am I even here? You know? And that's the adage, like kids, they want to run away from home, right? Because, or if just today, my kids are like, we don't like you, daddy, right? Because they felt I was being mean to them, because in their mind, that's the only thing that made sense. That's why I was trying to get them to pick up their orange peels, because I was mean, right? But if they never grow out of that, then they live a life of immaturity. And so many of us are stuck in immaturity. And this video is to help encourage you. That's not the life God designed for you. And that's something, yes, pray about, and yes, reach out, but it takes work. It takes diagnostic work to go, what am I feeling? What do I do when I feel that thing? What is the story that I'm telling myself? I see this one a lot too, and stick with me. How many of you men, you text your wife, your girlfriend or whatever, they don't respond back a couple hours later. And you just go, you start, before you're even aware of it, the story goes, that they're ignoring me, they don't respect me, they're taking me for granted, they just are using me, and they're probably out with some other guy, wherever your mind goes, which kind of makes sense. I mean, the story makes sense, obviously it's coming to your mind, but it's not true. It drives you crazy because you've worked so hard to make that story happen because it feels good. It helps you feel safer. It makes sense. I think about this idea of, imagine you're living with like an incomplete puzzle. You have to have the full picture. If you don't have it, it drives you crazy. But what's so sad is then if you text your wife or your girlfriend or whatever 50 times, where are you? What are you doing? Very accusatory. You don't care. You don't respect. You're not going to get that missing piece of the puzzle. They're going to be closed off to you. They're going to be guarded. They're going to be like, why are you treating this way? And then you're going to see a chain reaction, because then they're going to start playing the story in their mind of, I'm not good enough, or if only I was a better wife, then they wouldn't be so mean to me, right? And I see this so often in couples, is the stories that we tell ourselves affect other people's stories, which then affect other people's stories. And it just leads to so many incorrect narratives. And the responsibility lies with us. We have to take responsibility. We have to take a stand and basically go, hold on, what is true? I am a child of God. I am loved. I'm here. I have a purpose. There's a purpose and a plan for my life. And when I am having relationship disconnect with someone, when I'm feeling these big feelings, anxiety, anger, fear, defensiveness, that's okay. That's just my responsibility to slow it down and run the diagnostics and go, what is happening? Rather than being quick to jump and write that story and say, you're doing this because of this, or if they only love me, then they would do this. Because that's not true with foundation number one. No, I am loved, and they've chosen to love me. We're married, for those of you that are married. And I feel like I'm getting off track a little bit, but there's so many things that make sense. Emotions always make sense if you let it. And the story that you tell yourself always makes sense if you let it. But the problem is that the story sometimes gets outdated, and the story doesn't serve you anymore. It actually hinders you. And so next time you feel an emotion come up, trace it in your body, ask yourself, what do you want to do about it? And then ask, what is the story I'm telling myself? And invite the Holy Spirit in, because he may want to rewrite that story. So if this is helpful, go ahead and drop a like, a comment. It helps the channel. Feel free to write whatever. I'd love to kind of continue this conversation if something spoke to you. If you're a man and you're interested in more resources, I have a community on School. Check the link in the bio or down in the comments. It's free to join. I'd love to see you there.